Did you ever want to just cook a really good crusty bread, but you can't? I've got a nice 4-ingredient recipe for you that actually works. We've used this probably in my house a couple hundred times, and the difference maker in this is that I use this actual enameled cast iron Dutch oven with a lid, so it's perfect for baking and it gets that crunch that I want on the top of the crust. So my recipe that I'm going to share with you is minimal effort and it's maximum crunch. This is really an easy recipe to use, and you just have to give yourself a couple hours. So this is a gifted product. The recipe is mine. You can also find it on my website, danavento.com. My recipe is really easy. It's 3 cups of flour. It is just a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of instant yeast, and then we're going to use a 1.25 cups of warm water. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So basically, I'm going to start out right here with the warm water and the yeast because I want to give this a little head start. So here we go right here. That is not all that we need, but I want to mix this real quick before we bring this up to the 1 and the 3rd line. This is dissolving that yeast, letting it quickly get activated, which I do all the time. Again, the water is about 130 degrees. This is just warm tap water. You can see we went to milky. All right, I feel like that's mixed enough. We're going to go right ahead and bring this up to 1 1/3. Which is right there. You can see the water is warm because it's steaming in the bottle. All right, I'm gonna let this sit now, and we're going to go ahead and put in the flour, and then I'm gonna show you the secret ingredients. So it's really 5 ingredients, but it's my personal ingredient. And we need that teaspoon of salt, so we're gonna go right here with this. Just like that. I'm gonna mix this around. I do use a silicone spatula in here. It seems to work best when I'm doing this. And once I get that all together, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the actual yeast water that I just made. And we'll see how we did with the mixing really well because there's none of that left in there. So that's all inside. And we're just gonna go ahead and mix this. But before we're done, I'm gonna show you what else I'm adding in here. Yep. A drop of olive oil. That's all that was. It couldn't even have been a teaspoon. It's just in there. Olive oil, everything better. And in our house, we always add olive oil. Now you're gonna see this is gonna definitely become more difficult to work with. That's what you want. It's forming around the flour. Go in there and just mix. Do not add more water. Once we do this, we're going to cover this with saran wrap and let it sit for just about 2 hours. So it kind of does its own little rising thing. And then in between the 2 hours, I set myself a timer, and then I come down and I put that Dutch oven with the lid into the oven and let it preheat too. It does its best work when it's actually preheated because you want it to be warm like the oven. So that's what we'll be doing. And you can see right here what we've got is some nice dough. And if you see that it's all not going in now, which we pretty much are, you can add a drop, and I literally mean a drop of water, just like that. No more because you already have the flour accounted for, and that's it. We're going to then clean up the sides of the bowl, and we are going to let this rest. And you see, you don't even have to get your hands in there. I really like this recipe. And I'll tell you what, the olive oil has a lot to do with that too. It'll clean the bowl really nice for you. I love olive oil in there, and that was extra virgin olive oil. So like I said, it is 4 ingredients. Really, that's the traditional recipe. That's the one my grandmother used to do. My other grandmother, every time she baked bread, she always used olive oil. So yeah, 2 totally different grandmas, right? 2 totally different styles. So I picked up on the olive oil. I love olive oil. So, and that really helps with this. So we're gonna leave this right in here just like this, and we're gonna let it rise. I'm gonna cover it up, and I'll be back with you as soon as it's done in 2 hours. All right, let me show you how the dough turned out. It's perfect every time, I told you. Look at this. That's it. I mean, did the rise, it's all ready to go. I'm just gonna take my spatula. I have this piece of paper here. What we're gonna do, we're gonna bring over the preheated cast iron Dutch oven, set it right here, and I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, so I'm gonna tip you down a little bit so you can just watch. This is over here. I did put a little Pam on it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. We're gonna be dead on, and we're just gonna put this into here. because this is gonna make our cleanup so much less later. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven, bake this. All right, so a little bit of information. I preheated the oven at 450 with the Dutch oven in it. Now we're gonna bake this for 20 minutes at 450 with the heated Dutch oven together. Then we'll take the lid off and bake it for the last 15 minutes. So that's how you do this, because leaving the lid on makes it steam, and that makes that nice crust that we're going for. All right, if you were watching all the way through, this is how it turned out. And the reason that this turned out so well is because I did use the Dutch oven with the dome lid. The dome lid is the difference maker, because what happens is when you have that on for the first 20 minutes of baking, it steams the bread, and that makes this nice firm crust, and that's what you want. And then you take it off for the next 20 minutes and finish baking it. So after I did that, I also temped it. I brought it up to about 202 or 203. Then I took it out of the oven and it's sitting here resting. Yep, this is one of those recipes you just have to try. It's like one of the kitchen essentials for baking is having one of these Dutch ovens in there.